नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। सन्वतां स्वकतः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुश्रुताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, verse 72 and 73. गर्भे बाल्येऽपि अपोसकल्याद् एकदशाविधं तदा लिङ्गं न दृश्यते यूनः गुह्यं चन्द्रमसो यतः. Synonyms: Garbe, in the womb; Balye, in boyhood; Api, also; Aposkalyat, because of immaturity; Ekadasha, the ten senses and the mind; Vidam, in the form of Sada, at that time; Lingam, the subtle body or false ego; Na, not; Drishyate, is visible; Yunaha, of a youth; Kuhva, Kuhvam, during the dark moon, night; Chandramashaha, the moon; Yata, as. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When one is a youth, all the ten senses and the mind are completely visible. However, in the mother's womb or in the boyhood state, the sense organs in the mind remains covered, just as the full moon is covered by the darkness of the dark moon night. Purport: when a living entity is within the womb, his gross body, the ten sense organs, and the mind are not fully developed. At such a time, the objects of the senses do not disturb him. In a dream, a young man may experience the presence of a young woman because at that time the senses are active. Because of undeveloped senses, a child or a boy will not see a young woman in his dreams. The senses are active in youth even when one dreams. And although there may be no young woman present, the senses may act and there may be a seminal discharge, nocturnal emission. The activities of a subtle and gross body depend on how developed conditions are. The example of a moon is a very appropriate. On a dark moon night, the full shining moon is still present, but it appears not to be present due to the condition. Similarly, the senses of the living entity are there, but they only become active when the gross body and subtle body are developed. Unless the senses of the gross body are developed, they will not act on the subtle body. Similarly, because of the absence of desires in the subtle body, there may be no development in the gross body. Text 73. अर्धे अविद्मानेऽपि संस्तीर्णा निवर्तते यायातो विषयन् यस्य स्वप्ने नतागमो यथा. Arthe, sense objects; he, certainly; avidyamane, not being present; api, although; samsritihi, material existence; na, never; nivartat, nivartate, ceases; jayataha, meditating; visayan, on sense objects; asya, of the living being; swapne, in dream; another, of unwanted things; agamaha, appearance; yata, as. When a living entity dreams, the sense objects are not actually present. However, because one associates with sense objects, they become manifest. Similarly, the living entity with undeveloped senses do not cease to exist materially, even though he may not be exactly in the contact with sense objects. It is sometimes said that because a child is innocent, he is completely pure. Actually, this is not the fact. The effects of the putative activities reserved in the subtle body appears in three concurrent stages. One is called bija, the root; another is called kutastha, the desire; and another is called phalanmukha, about to fructify. The manifest stage is called Prabhupada, already in action. In a conscious or unconscious state, the actions of the subtle or gross bodies may not be manifest. But such states cannot be called the liberated state. A child may be innocent, but it does not mean that he is a liberated soul. Everything is held in reservation, and everything will become manifest in due course of time. Even in the absence of certain manifestations in the subtle body, the objects of sense enjoyment may act. The example has been given of a nocturnal emission, in which the physical senses act even when the physical objects are not manifest. The three modes of material nature may not be manifest in the subtle body, but the contaminants from the three modes remain conserved, and in due course of time it becomes manifest, even if the reactions of the subtle and gross bodies are not manifest, but do not become free from the material conditions. Therefore, it is wrong to say that the child is as good as liberated soul. नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे I would like to seek blessing from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcoming or adding my own interpretation. I'll summarize a few points that I've heard from the lectures from senior ISKCON devotees and that one of uh, uh, Romapada Maharaj Prabhu. Now, let's see let's hear about Vrajvasis and their attachment to Supreme Person of Godhead, Lord Krishna. We can find in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vrajvasis do not know what is Krishna. They are villagers, but they do not love anyone more than Krishna. That is their qualification. They do not even know Vishnu. Once separated from Krishna, the gopis were madly searching for Sri Krishna. And Krishna assumed the Vishnu Murti, and the gopis came upon this Murti as they were passing. They saw him and said, "Oh, here is Vishnu. All right, Namaskar. Have you seen Krishna pass by here?" They were not interested in Vishnu, they were interested in Krishna. Although they did not know that Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead. In Vrindavana, the Lord was not even known as Paramatma because the residents of Vrindavana were pure unconventional devotees of the Lord and could think of him only as their object of love. Taken from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.9 purport. When something very wonderful happened because of Krishna's activities, the inhabitants of Vrindavana, the cowherd men and boys, Nanda Maharaja, Yashoda, and others were impressed. But they never considered Krishna, their son Krishna, to be the supreme person of Godhead. Sometimes they suggested that some great demigod had appeared there as Krishna. In such an exalted state of devotion service, a devotee forgets the position of Krishna and intensely loves the supreme person of Godhead. Just understanding his position. Taken from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.3.53 purport. The residents of Vrindavana did not know Krishna's potencies and incarnation. They simply loved Krishna with their hearts and souls, therefore are considered to be most perfect. We can also find a similar, uh, we can also find from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila 10.19. मनुष्य बुद्धि दमयंती करे प्रभुरा पाया गुरु भोजने udare kabu amahanahaya. Because of pure love, the devotees of Krishna in the Goloka of Vrindavana, Brajabhumi, Lord Krishna is an ordinary human being like them. Yet, although they consider Krishna as one of them, their love for Krishna was no bound. Similarly, because of the extreme love, devotees like Raghav Panita and his sister Damayanti thought of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as human being, but their love for him was boundless. By overeating, an ordinary human being becomes prone to a disease called Amala Pitta, which is a product of indigestion characterized by acidity of the stomach. Damayanti thought that such a condition would afflict Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's hear from one more verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. ब्रजलोकेर भवे भवे ये करे ये भजना तेई जाना पाया ब्रजेंद्र नंदना. The inhabitants of Brajabhumi or Goloka, Vrindavana, know Krishna's son of Maharajananda. They do not accept him as supreme person of Godhead, as people in general do. The Lord is supreme maintainer of everyone and the chief personality among all personalities. In Rajabhumi, Krishna is certainly the central point of love, but no one knows him that there as supreme personality of Godhead. Rather, a person may know as his friend, a son, a lover, or a master. In any case, the center is Krishna. The inhabitants of Rajabhumi are related to the Lord in servitude, friendship, parental love, and conjugal love. A person engaged in devotional service may accept any one of these transcendental relationships, which are known as mellows. When such person reaches the perfection stage, he returns back to home, back to Krishna, his pure spiritual identity. Let me also share a small lecture given by Srila Prabhupada in New York City on November 23rd, 1963. His topic is Take Shelter of Devotion, and I just read some small snippet. Srila Prabhupada says, to enter a true love relationship with Krishna, we have to stop seeing him as our order supplier. कबू स्वर्गे उठया कबू नरके दुबया धन्या जाने राजा ये ना नदीते चुबया. In this material condition, the living entity is sometimes raised to the higher planetary systems and material prosperity and sometimes down in hellish situation. His study is exactly like that of a criminal whom a king punishes by submerging him in water and raising him again from the water. As explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 20.119. Lord Chaitanya is explaining the position of an unconditioned soul. We are completely under the grip of material nature. When someone is seated in a car, the driver drives him. The driver is not under control, he drives him anywhere to any help. Similarly, we are sitting in a car of this body, subject by material nature, and and she is driving anywhere, sometimes up, sometimes down. In this way, we are suffering life after life, birth after birth. This is our condition. We are not independent. We are completely under the stringent laws of material nature. Formerly, a culprit would be dunked under water for punishment, and sometimes he would be raised up to take a breath. Yes, he was suffocating. It was not meant to be killed, but he was given suffering in that way. Similarly, in the current material world, the material nature is giving us suffering, miseries. Let me also read a small verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.37. Bhayam Bhayam Dvitiyabhinesha Vestaha Syad Ishadapetasya Viparayo Mritihi Tanmayayato Buddha Abhajetam Bhaktya Bhaktyekayesham Gurudevatam. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as a material body because of the absorption in external illusionary energy of the Lord. The living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord. He also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency of illusion. It is called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as a worshipable deity and has his life and very life and soul. When we are forgetful of Krishna consciousness, when we think there is no God, matter is everything. This material manifestation we see is everything, all in all, and there is no Lord, no supreme controller. If we think like that, our anxiety begins. Bhayam, fearfulness. We are all fearful because fear is one of the bodily necessity all we have. We want to eat something, want to sleep, want to mate. Similarly, we have fear. These are the four principles of animal life shared by human beings. We are fearful. Why? Because we have taken it that there is no God. We are like forlorn child who thinks he is lost. I'm helpless. Where is my mother? Where is my father? Similarly, when we are helpless, we are fearful. But those who are Krishna consciousness are not helpless. They know above me there is Krishna who will protect me. One of the symptoms of Sharanagati, which is surrendering to Supreme Person of Godhead, is to have the firm conviction Krishna will protect me. Yes, Krishna will protect me. I'm engaged in Krishna's service. So Krishna will give me protection. If I work in some ordinary man service, he may give me protection. Don't you think that if you work for Krishna, he'll give you protection? Because we have no faith, or we are seeking protection elsewhere. But Krishna protects us. Again, taken from Bhagavad Gita 18.60. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami. I shall give you protection from all sinful reactions. But we have no faith. We are thinking, oh, is it written in Bhagavad Gita? That's all right. But I must have my protection in a different way. Because someone thinks there is something superior to Krishna, he is fearful. The Bhagavatam explains why a conditioned soul is fearful. Bhayam, dvitiya dvitiya abhinivisheshtaha syat. When you take shelter of Maya, illusion, then we are afraid. We must understand illusion is material energy is under the control of Krishna. Because illusion is also Krishna's energy, his inferior energy. So within this material energy, when I'm forgetful of Krishna, this material energy is for you fearful of me. And when I'm in and when I'm in fully Krishna consciousness, there is no question of fearfulness from material nature. Let me explain a small story. What is called how to become anxiety free. There is a rich man who is having all appliances in life, and yet he was not happy. Reason? He was having a worrying attitude. Went to astrologer, showed his horoscope. Astrologer read thoroughly and said, everything is all right. Your anxiety of mind without any reason is simply troubling you. So do me a favor, you read Bhagavad Gita from an acharya or a bona fide spiritual master and implement some of the principles in your life. This will solve all your anxiety and will become anxiety free. There is no other solution. This rich man, out of ignorance, was going to acharya and then was very happy and went to one acharya and he was very happy to teach him Bhagavad Gita. When the acharya said, let's start reading all the 18 chapters, the rich man said, I don't have time. The acharya said, okay, let's read only the 18th chapter, which we call as a summary of the Gita, for 2 weeks. The rich man said, I still don't have time. 2 weeks is too difficult for me. The rich man was requesting to give him a sloka or a word which can really make him anxiety free. Then the acharya said, okay, let's read one of the sloka in 18th chapter. Sarva dharman parityajya. Just learn this sloka and you'll get the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. The rich man still hesitated. No, I don't have time. So Acharya, who is very patiently listening to this rich man, said, okay, do me a favor, just read 2 words for me. Masochaha, which means do not worry. Just understand this and Gita is understood. This man said, that's all right. Masochaha, do not worry. I'm still anxiety. I can't remove my anxiety. The rich man started talking to Acharya and said, can you please let me know how to get rid of anxiety? The Acharya then patiently explained. This is what the Gita is all about. Don't know if you want to be free of worries, you should start from right from chapter 1, sloka 1, and go through it patiently, understand all the chapters. There is no shortcut to this process, as Bhagavad Gita itself is a shortcut given by the Supreme Person of Godhead. It's the essence of all Vedas, and Lord has mercifully given that so that one need to go through the brain breaking Upanishad. Hearing about all these things, this rich man came into senses, started reading Bhagavad seriously under the spiritual guru. One thing what we can see is the more intensely we chant and more intensely we study Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, the more we become surrendered to Krishna. Mamekam Saranam Praja. And as much as we are surrendered to Krishna, that much we can become fearless and anxiety. And this understanding should be backed by honest efforts in maintenance of our body and spiritual life. I would like to stop here. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. and I would like to ask for your pardon if I had my own interpretation.